Hey, I'm Dug Stevenson for Press+1, joined by Warren P Sonoda, who is quite involved in the Canadian Film Festival, doing the filmmaking masterclass,
Yes.
moderating the Storytelling 101. Do you want to talk a little bit about those before we get going?
Absolutely, yes. Well, I'm very good friends with Bern Euler, the executive director of the film festival, and initially he's like, we just needed a lot of help, and then eventually I joined the board of directors and got roped into a lot of crazy things for him, which is great because the filmmakers that come out and the film lovers that come out are really awesome at the CFF. And this year, yeah, we started the whole festival off with a 7-hour masterclass.
You did 7 hours?
I did 7 hours of me talking, and like there's probably 6 hours of me just going because I'm just getting over a little bit of a cold. But it was awesome. It was very inspiring for me to sit in front of a class full of participants, which were the most advanced participants I've ever taught. I've done master classes before, but this one, I mean, we had veteran film directors, actors, filmmakers, producers in the class, and it was a great way to kick off the event. We did that Wednesday, and over 60 people just kind of hung in there with me, and then they all got festival passes so they can see all the movies at the festival. So it was a great way to get everybody involved.
And then when you're doing the moderating for the Storytelling 101, there's a panel. How does that work?
It works where I just go up and I introduce the panelists, and then I ask 2 questions, and then they just go off. You know, it was really great. It was right after the day of the masterclass, so I was focused so much.
You didn't have a voice?
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm glad there's 6 of them. We had, my panel was really awesome. We had the 2 filmmakers from the film, Alex Boothby, Mr. Viral, Sandra Fellman, who I think you interviewed as well, from Please Kill Mr. Know-It-All, LJ, her actress, David Miller, who's an amazing producer in Canada. I think he's one of the most progressive and exciting young producers out there right now, and Alan Backus from Harold Greenberg Fund, which was really nice because he gave a perspective of like what stories are out there, what's coming to him on a sort of daily, weekly basis. And then we had Kenny Hotz, and Kenny
Comic relief.
Yeah, comic relief, but also, you know, a bit of an instigator. And we asked him on the panel to just be him. And it was, you know, this year at the Canadian Film Fest, we really had many sort of you had to be there moments. Last night we premiered Skull World. And
yeah,
the Q&A of that was off the hizzle. Was
Skullman there?
Skullman made an appearance. There was an actual box war at the Royal.
Nice.
I think this might go down in the legend of the Canadian Film Fest as one of the most exciting, unexpected Q&As we've ever had, where there was box war casualties everywhere. But you know, it was the Kenny Hotz on the panel for the Storytelling 101. That was one of those you had to be there moments where he was just very candid and funny, and it was a lot of great dialogue about telling stories.
Just being Kenny Hotz.
Yes.
Hey, I'm glad you brought up the Harold Greenberg Fund because, you know, I know one of your comedies was, I think, the first one to come out of the Telefilm Comedy Lab.
Yes, it was.
And so how important are things like labs, like Canadian Film Festival, festivals, like funding, to getting a career started in film in Canada?
Oh, I think it kind of all starts with the community of filmmakers that we have here, going off and scraping together credit cards and money. And I mean, I used to work at the Keg and, you know, slinging those stakes and getting those tips and making your films. One thing that I love about the Canadian Film Fest, and you know, every year it gets more exciting and bigger, but it's always based around the filmmaker, the Canadian filmmaker, and specifically only Canadian films. And there's tons of amazing film fests in Toronto especially, and in Canada and around the world. And a lot of them have international films and also Indigenous dramatic or Indigenous Canadian films and national films, but we only show Canadian films, and it's important to us because we want to give a sort of a platform and celebrate the Canadian filmmaker.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I want to switch gears just a little bit because I love reading about your work, and you're such a thoughtful person when it comes to Canadian. Yeah, I mean, I love reading what you've said about Canadian film, about TV.
I like talking about it.
I want to know what you think right now of the state of Canadian film.
Oh, that's been a hot topic this year at the Canadian Film Fest because there's been a lot of great films and filmmakers, and there's been a lot of talk amongst audience. You know what the mark of a really great film festival is when you hear the audience members after a film or after a panel kind of talk about where are we at, what's going on, and just by seeing the crowds and the filmmakers that come out, I think the state of the Canadian film industry right now is very, very good and healthy and growing, and maybe not across the country. We certainly have some issues in BC with their tax credit and the things that they're working through out there. My perspective is Toronto based because I'm a Toronto filmmaker. The Toronto film community is so engaged and supportive. We had a sort of an industry mixer for William F. White. They sponsored. William F. White's been great to us. They're an amazing equipment supply house. But every year they come on board and support the Canadian Film Fest. And this year they threw a networking pub. And we invited some filmmakers and producers and industry people and actors and some of the guests from the festival. But then we had a lot of just filmmakers just show up because they heard that we were
There's something going on.
Yeah, and just to see some alumni from past Canadian Film Fest come out just showed that, hey, listen, this is important to them. They want to show up when we're doing something because they experienced that in years past, and they'll always take that away. We had Anita Duran show a film here. We had Chris Smets show a film here. We had some really Johnny Kalangas had a film here, which was great. We have a lot of people that have come through the CFF, and they come back to support. That was really, really nice this year.
That's cool. So obviously this year, just a few weeks ago, was the inaugural Canadian Film Fest.
Yeah, well,
sorry, Canadian Screen Awards.
You almost got
just
me,
even a day ago.
This is day 4 of 4, and you could have persuaded me. Yes, it was just. This is the first one. It's amazing.
Wow, it's fantastic.
Yeah, the CSAs and one of our board members, Karen Bruce, was one of the big forces behind that this year.
What do you think about that? What do you think about combining, the Geminis and the Genies into one, so TV and film no longer get their own showcase? Is that a good thing? Does it detract from either or?
Well, I think the one thing that the CSAs face and the Genies and Geminis face is the same thing that the Canadian Film Fest faces. Is just how to get the word out to a general audience that might not be so connected to Canadian films, filmmaking, and television as we are, because we're the makers of it. So anything that can kind of strengthen that, I think, is a good thing. For us at the CFF, we only get stronger when the word of mouth gets out there. So I know that the CSAs put off an amazing award show this year, and Martin Short was particularly hilarious. So it's year one.
Right.
You
build.
Yeah, the Oscars are they've done 3 or 4 of those years now. So
I think so. I think they're in their 5th year.
The 5th year of the Oscars. So and they're doing pretty good. So give the CSA some time and let that community grow, and I think a lot of great things will happen.
How difficult is it to do something like the CSAs? I mean, you talk about the spread of Canada. You're based in Toronto. Mm-hmm. When you have such a big spread, I mean, obviously there's such a community in Vancouver. There's a lot going on in Halifax. There's a huge film community in Quebec. Mm-hmm.
And in Winnipeg and Edmonton. I mean, there's hubs around Canada, and that's one of the things that we love at the Canadian Film Fest is we're able to bring a film like The Disappeared from Halifax in, or our opening night film Rouge Sang, the Storm Within from Quebec, and the filmmakers come in, and they might not have a platform in Toronto to access an audience as readily as a Toronto filmmaker or a local filmmaker, and we want to give them that. We want to give them the microphone and the projector to put it out there, and the response has been really, really strong.
I want to talk just quickly about your music video experience, because I think by now you've directed over 160 or 170 or something like that. Yeah. How much is that schooling for getting into film, or is there much of a difference there?
Oh, it's everything, and it's completely different, and it's very hard. I mean, I didn't do so well in film school, so I ended up my film school was music videos, and every month I would do, in my head, 5, 6, 10 short films, because these music videos, I'm not known as a shaking booty, hot cars, hot girls sort of music video director. Most of my music videos are story videos or whatnot, and I use that just to kind of hone my chops to tell stories on a large. But then when I finally made my first film, Ham and Cheese, the first take, the first day, the first, we were setting up the camera, and someone said, okay, so are you going to block the scene? And I'm like, what?
What's that?
What's block? Lego? Great. So it's completely different, but at the same time, the skills you learn shooting, 3 minutes of a story helps you tell, 90 minutes of one down the road. But with the Canadian Film Fest and our presence socially, it's the only way to get the audience out, to spread the word as quickly and as cheaply as possible. And every time I open a movie, I'm very fortunate, and I'm very proud to have a good number of people out there that can listen to what I'm saying and come out, and I appreciate it so much. And it's only because of something like Facebook that I can spread the word so effortlessly and cheaply.
Right. So for anyone watching this interview doesn't have a chance to go to one of your classes,
yes,
what
because
should
I don't
they
know
do?
if I'm going to do one for a little while.
Not another 7 hours.
Can you hear my voice, man?
What should they be doing? Where should people be looking for information?
Well, certainly go to canfilmfest.ca, which is the website for Burn Your Lose Festival, the Canadian Film Fest.